Hello. If you are watching this video, you're watching it for one reason and one reason only. You are most likely going bald, are bald, or are going to be bald very, very soon. So I've compiled basically everything in the hair care industry for men. Stuff that works, stuff that doesn't work, what you should do, how you should plan it out, what to do if you are losing your hair right now and you're extremely cooked, what to do if you're not and you just want a little guide on how to keep it forever. I've put this together. So let's start up here. The exact routine you need. You don't need to follow anything else after this. Once you know this, it will work. No more hair gummies or herbal remedies that you found on Facebook. Most of them don't work. Most of them actually damage your hair and make it even worse. And that's what we exactly don't want. So this is my journey and why you should listen to what I say, because I've managed to bring my hair back from this, which, as you can see, full scalp exposure, extremely bad. This was like the first picture, the first photo I ever took of my hair when I realized. And everyone remembers, and maybe you don't, but the first photo you take when you realize, oh my god, or the first time you see it, maybe it's in a photo, you're taking a photo of someone and you see a hairline and you go, oh my god, I need to do something about this, because that is not good. As you can see on this side, miniaturizing, recession. Bear in mind my hairline was down here and it's being pushed back. That is not good. It was making me very, very angry and it wasn't looking good. So I had to do something about it. And that was in 2022. At that stage, I was coping. Everyone goes through it. I understand. Everyone starts by saying, oh, maybe it's not actually that bad. Am I balding? Am I? You ask someone and they're like, oh, no, man, you look all good. Look, the truth is, no one's usually, well, some people will, but most people are not going to tell you the truth behind whether you're balding or not, just because they don't want to offend you. Do you know what I mean? You go ask your parents or your mum, or you go ask your friends, they're most likely going to lie to you, unless you have someone who's brutally honest and going to be like, yeah, man, you're cooked. So this is me now in 2025. As you can see, basically covered back the crown area. Still has some work to do, which I'm working on, obviously getting that fully covered again, which I will do within the end of this year from new procedures I'm putting into place. As you can see, I brought back down the hairline from having it actually being lost to now pulled it all the way back down to where it was prior. As you can see, because I've got a mole here, so I've been using that to actually gauge. You can see I've gained at least 1 centimetre or 2 on my hairline, which is good. So how do we do this? You may be wondering, how do we actually do this? And you may be in the worst position in this. That's okay, because anything is possible. It all depends on how badly you actually want your hair. First stage is to stop coping. You have to stop coping. If you're watching this video, you want to keep your hair for a reason. You know you look better with it. Most men, they look worse bald. All right, you're not going to look like Jason Statham. You're not going to look like The Rock. And if you think you are, you're delusional. There's been so many studies now that mainly done on women's opinion of men. You look better with hair. And you look even better when you have a full head of hair and a hairline that's actually perfect. Reason being is, as you can see by these videos, not only does it make you look younger, it makes you look more healthy. I mean, we look at Elon Musk here, we look at Matthew McConaughey. I mean, they look like, for being honest, they look like cancer patients. Like, you look sick when you have a receding hairline, and it's a subconscious thing in a woman's head when they would say, oh, that guy might be a bit ill. I know it sounds bad, and obviously it's something you can't control. It's an androgenic alopecia. It's genetic. But nevertheless, the facts are the same. You still look a little sick if you have a receding hairline, especially when you're younger. So something to keep in mind. These are just some studies on women's opinion of men with hair, without hair, obviously all of them say, yeah, with hair you look better. So if you're watching this video right now, you're balding, you're bald, you're starting out, you've already lost most likely 50% coverage in the area where you're losing it. Now, don't be scared. Don't be scared. It's just a fact. Most people don't really pay attention or notice it until you've already lost 50%. That's usually how it works in most areas. As you can see up the top on my videos, on my image, my scalp, on my crown, I was basically bald there. Now, I didn't realize it at the time until I took the picture, and I was like, oh my God. By the time I'd realized, I'd already lost probably more than 50% coverage loss. But, you see guys like this who they wait too long. And no offense to this guy or any of these guys, I just took some of these images off the internet. But you get people like this who say, am I balding? I mean, yeah, buddy, you're balding. Is it too late? I mean, I'm not going to say it's too late, but you're increasing the odds of it being extremely hard to do the more bald you are. So the key to treating this is getting it done and getting it sorted literally as soon as humanly possible. At the end of this video, you should be ordering and taking the things that I'm going to tell you to take, because they will fix the problem. But the longer you wait, the more you fuck around trying to put rosemary oil on your hair and do all this other herbal shit, the longer you're going to lose hair, the more you're going to lose, the more coverage you're going to lose, and the harder it's going to be when you eventually go, actually, maybe I'll listen now. So don't be like these guys, okay? But if you are like these guys and your hair looks like this, it's fine. We're going to fix it. So the first stage in hair loss is understanding how cooked you are and how cooked you're going to be. So the Norwood chart, it's a chart basically analyzing how far along in terms of hair loss you are, and that's going to determine how much coverage you're probably going to get back and whether you need a hair transplant or not, which we're going to go into at the end of the video. If you're anywhere from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? If you're 8, obviously it's probably too far gone for you now, buddy. But if you're here or here, you're going to have to take even more drastic measures to fix the issue, which it just has to be done. But if you do need a hair transplant, we're going to go over that at the end. But we're going to try and avoid that. That's the whole goal. The whole goal is to avoid having a hair transplant for literally as long as humanly possible. So the second way, which is the most common way, if you're losing just a little bit or you feel like you're losing your hair, this is the most important test you can do. It's called the modified hair wash test, where basically what you'll do is a chart here. You shampoo your hair once, you wait 5 days, not washing your hair, not shampooing, then you shampoo it again. You can either do it over a sink or in the shower. You capture the hair with a hair catcher, just something you put over the drain. You then lay out the hairs. It says let them dry, obviously let them dry out. Lay out the hairs. If you have hairs that are 5 centimeters and above, over majority, usually about 70%, that's good. If the hairs are smaller, they're intermediate, or they're 3 to 5 centimeters, or they're shorter, meaning they're shorter than 3 centimeters, the theory is that you are miniaturizing in that area. And I noticed this when I first did a test in 2022, I was miniaturizing bad. A lot of hair was falling out, and a lot of them were 3 centimeters and below, which is never a good sign. So I've got a whole blueprint on this. I've got a whole Notion document which you're going to get for free in the description below, where it'll automatically analyze this, and you can do it and you can track all your results. It's just good to have, so you know actually where you are and if the treatments you're doing are actually helping you. That's the main thing. You want to know is actually helping you as soon on as possible. So that is stage 1. So first thing you got to do is you got to do the test. If you're balding a little bit, if you're already past this stage and you're balding bad, then you can skip this for now. You only want to do this if you're just starting out boarding, or you feel like you're losing more hair than you would normally, you just notice a little bit. You want to run this test straight away. But if you already know you're cooked, then it's fine. We're going to skip on. Right, so cut through the BS. The second stage is to understand what you shouldn't be doing as a primary source of treating the issue. I see people who run these things on their own, and they're not addressing the key issue at hand. If you run any of these things on their own, it's going to have very little to almost no effect. Some of them better than others, but we'll run through. So DHT blocking shampoos, they're basically scams. I would never take a DHT blocking shampoo. Anything naturally blocks your DHT, I don't believe in. I think it's absolute rubbish. And the chance of actually slowing down the progression, especially if you're aggressively boarding, is extremely, extremely unlikely. Now, if you're below, say, 18 years old, and obviously I wouldn't recommend jumping on medication if you're below 18 years old, maybe you want to start with this sort of stuff. So if you're not using your hair loss, maybe you're 15, 16 years old, some people it starts that early, yeah, you would want to be using these as primaries and try and stave off as much time as you possibly can before you jump on medication, just so there's no negative effects on your hormones. Biotin, hair gummies, multivitamins, at best, they're a secondary option. They don't really have any effect. They're more just for general health. Herbal DHT blockers, would never take them. They're a waste of time, especially as a primary. Maybe you want to add a little bit in, but if you're already taking a DHT blocker, then you don't need this sort of stuff. It's just a waste of money. Caffeine, peppermint, rosemary shampoos and tonics. Most shampoos do not work or negatively affect you. They've got chemicals in them. They've got loads of different ingredients. And the whole point is when your hair is already damaged, you want to add 30 ingredients into it every day when you're showering. No, obviously not. So castor oils, onion juice, rice oil, I've seen people take this sort of stuff. I would never recommend it. It's just a waste of time, realistically. Microneedling alone. Microneedling can be extremely beneficial if you're on minoxidil. I do it personally every week, and the results are good. But if you're just doing it on its own and you're not adding in other stuff, especially if you can add in certain drugs to obviously lower your DHT levels, then it's basically a waste of time, because you're going to be generating more blood flow to the area, but you're not solving the root cause of the issue. At the end of the day, you are fighting genetics. Like, we are fighting genetics here. Okay? Like, androgenetic alopecia, it's called androgenetic alopecia for a reason. It's a genetic cause. So we're fighting reality in and of itself. Low light laser therapy caps or red light therapy. I do red light therapy. I have a big red light therapy panel just over in the corner, actually, which I use. But I mainly use that just to sit in, just for a little biohack in the morning. But it doesn't hurt. The caps can be good. And I've seen somewhat results. But again, you're not addressing the main issue, and you think that it's a primary source and it's going to fix your hair loss or bring your hair loss from this to something good, then you're delusional. PRP sold as one session cures. I've seen this, especially in Turkey. PRP can be good, especially if you've got the money. You can run it consistently. There has been, some reported benefits of that. I've never personally done it. I would do it, and I will do it in the future. Something to add on, but at a later date for me personally. Stem cells, exome shampoos and serums, wouldn't take it. It just doesn't make any sense. The stem cells in of themselves, I'm very interested in actually injecting stem cells into the scalp, and I've seen some reported benefits of that being very good. But obviously it's extremely expensive to do consistently. So if you've got the money, I would definitely recommend looking into that, because that can potentially be a primary source, but it's going to cost you a lot of money, and consistently a lot of money. Scalp massages are good. as a secondary. I would never use them as a primary. Obviously, it's mainly for blood flow to the area, but as it says, won't help miniaturization. Collagen, MSM, marine peptides, there's no real evidence that they're going to improve your hair follicle growth. I mean, they say it online, but show me a real study of real data and I'll believe it. Avoiding DHT foods, I've seen this, like your diet helps massively. When my hair was bad, my diet was extremely bad. That is true. And now my diet is extremely clean. My hair has improved, but it was also in combination with other things. Topical finasteride, dutasteride, and minoxidil that you won't use daily. This is where I differ from most people, where I don't believe in taking topical solutions for finasteride or dutasteride or even minoxidil topically. Just because in reality, unless you're going to be extremely disciplined with it, minoxidil, you're doing the topical stuff 2 times a day. Unless you wake up at the exact same time every day and you go to bed at the exact same time every day, and you can take it on holiday with you and you can follow the routine and you never miss days. If you can generally say in your heart that you're going to do that consistently, then okay, take it. But if you feel like actually maybe I might skip a couple of days, and I've messed up by taking topical minoxidil and stopping, and that was the worst thing I ever did, and that really shocked my hair. So it's one of them things you have to be on forever, realistically. So that's the sort of stuff where some secondary, some BS. Now to the core stack. So this is the sort of stuff you actually have to take. I know it's not what you think. Maybe you've seen this stuff before and you're like, man, I was really hoping you was going to tell me something else. But this is the only stuff with actual provable evidence, without a doubt, that it works. And it will work for you to some extent. Some people get better results than others. That is a fact. Some people are hyper responders. You can go on Reddit and you can see people, they take like finasteride and they literally bring their hair back from like this to having a full head of hair. Does it happen to everyone? No. But it might happen to you if you happen to try. So what I personally take every day, I do dutasteride. Reason being is I was on finasteride, and after being on it, I waited, as you should, about 9 months. I was still seeing miniaturization of hair follicles. And it was stressing me out because I was thinking, oh my God, like, I'm that guy. I'm the guy who doesn't respond. Like, my life is ruined. Like, I'm the guy who's just going to have to just firm it and just go bald and be a fucking egghead for the rest of my life, which is great. So after taking it for 9 months, I'm doing my tests over here and tracking. I realized, it's not actually helping. It helped a little bit, but it's not 100%. After doing more research, I obviously found out that it only lowers your serum DHT by 65%, which if you're aggressively balding, which right now I should probably be bald. My hairline would be absolutely cooked if I did nothing about it. I would be so bad, it would be abysmal, realistically. I jumped on dutasteride, and that's lowered it now to 85 to 90%. So now I'm stabilized, and I've actually grown back just by using dutasteride. I've recently, within the past 2 months, added in minoxidil, oral, back in. I did it back in the day, topically. That's why I'm so against it, because I was that guy who I come on it, waited a little while, no results. It was annoying. It's extremely like greasy. It just ruined my hair. I've already got very black hair as it is, so anything adding a product like that in, it just absolutely, I looked disgusting realistically, and it was just extremely annoying. Every single day you have to put it in. So now I'm doing 1.25 milligrams starting out. Reason being is I want to slowly titrate up, just so if I need to push it further, I can, but at a later date. Now, if you're aggressively balding, like you're very bad, let's say you're one of these guys over here, maybe start on 2.5. You can go up to 5 milligrams a day, and you might need to, realistically, if you really are at that stage where you're going to need some aggressive stuff to bring it back, then you're going to have to. But even if you're at this stage, you still should get all of this stuff done and don't do it right before you think of a hair transplant. I would say, we'll go into the end of this video, but if you're watching this and you are cooked, your hair is very bad right now, it's fine. You're just going to have to take even more aggressive action, realistically. So yeah, I would jump straight on dutasteride. I would jump straight on minoxidil, 2.5 milligrams minimum, maybe even 5 milligrams if you tolerate it, okay? So that stage, that's the most important stage. This whole thing, if you take one thing out of this, you need to be taking at least finasteride or minoxidil. Finasteride or dutasteride at bare minimum to start. If you're already aggressively balding, jump on the minoxidil straight away. Straight away, don't wait. The longer you wait, the harder it is to regenerate. Like, your genetics are already past. You're trying to reverse genetic, like, aging, realistically. You're trying to, like, de-age your hair follicles. So that's the first thing. Secondary treatments. So now we'll go over secondary things that some of these I add in, some of them I've taken and I've stopped for certain reasons. One thing that I always recommend is microneedling, just for the sheer fact of blood flow to your scalp. The more blood flow you can get, the more chance your hair follicles have to grow and grow strong. If you're doing topical minoxidil, it's extremely important that you microneedle. It's extremely important. The results are tenfold the results you get from microneedling. In terms of like what I would choose, you've got two options. You've got the derma roller or you've got an actual pen. Go with the pen. The derma roller, I don't like it for many reasons. One main reason being that you have to wash it every single time. Like with the pen, you just buy packs of pre-sterilized needles and you just throw them away after. You don't reuse it. If you get sloppy one day or you don't use, isopropyl alcohol to actually sterilize it, and then you're rubbing that back on your scalp, and it's like, you're just leaving it. Like, I'm sure many people actually do just leave it. They don't even like wash it. You're going to cause issues and you're going to cause shedding to occur. Plus, you've got to factor in that when you're rolling it, there have been some reports of, when you roll it across your scalp, you could potentially be catching hairs and, pulling hair follicles out or damaging them. Whereas if you use the pen, you can directly penetrate a certain area and then move it along from a downward motion. So go with the pen, get one on eBay, go on Amazon. It's literally £20. Like, it's £20. You don't have to buy an expensive one. They're all literally the exact same. Don't spend hundreds of pounds on one that's fancy. Literally just get a plastic one. They do the exact same thing. They go move needles up and down like this. It's fucking simple. Topical oils. I've actually used this before. This Scandinavian Biolabs, which is a Capia Longa, which has, some relatively okay studies on it. I was just testing it out, something that I can add in. Actually, I've kind of stopped recently just because I can't stick to a routine when it comes to putting oils in. I go to bed at different times every single day. Like right now it's 1 a.m. Tomorrow I might go to bed at 10. Tomorrow I might go, then the day after I might go to bed at 3. Different times, you forget. It's annoying. But I've tried this and I believe it had some effect on my hair. And I would use it again. I've still got some, so it's definitely good. Rosemary oil as a secondary can be good as well. These are mainly for improving scalp health. That's what I would mainly section these as. Don't look at these as things that you're going to take and it's going to solve the issue. Don't think that. Think of that as getting your scalp in the best quality you possibly can by adding certain things into your hair. Scalp massages. Every day I do a scalp massage. It's very simple. Do it in the morning when you're in the shower. 5 minutes every single day. Make sure you follow along. Finger pads only, light pressure. You're literally doing this. You're not rubbing your head. You're not doing this. You're not rubbing it up and down or causing any friction. You're doing it wrong. Yeah, you're ruining your hair. You're going to be pulling out your hair. So don't ever cause any friction. You're just moving it around. You should feel your head moving. Very simple and very good to do. Just constantly. The more blood flow you can get to the area, the better. You don't have to just stop at microneedling. Although I do microneedling every week as well. Red light therapy, as I say, secondary option, yes. Primary option, no. Not a primary option. Buying one of these caps, these £700 caps, and seeing the results that they're purporting as a primary option is a terrible idea. You're wasting your money. As a secondary, very good though. Very good. Put on here, make sure you get an FDA cleared one. Just because I've seen some, you get a cheap one, it's just an LED light, it's not a red light. It's not going through and going to penetrate you at the right level, typically between 630 and 680. If you just get one that's cheap from Temu or eBay, it's like £20. It's usually just got LEDs in it. It's not doing anything for your head. Could potentially even be damaging it. But as I say, secondary option, yes. This is something I'm working on right now, or working with. It's GHK carbopeptide. Now, this is where I'm experimenting. There's not like real evidence of this. It's an experiment I'm testing out where I'm literally microneedling GHK into my scalp. I'm doing it in the literal peptide form, where I'd usually do like 300 milligrams or micrograms into a 1 ml syringe and then fill up the rest with back water and then just putting it on my scalp and just microneedling that through and just testing that out. Because I've seen some reports of it being good, but it's all anecdotal at this point in time. So you can add it in. Does it work? I'm not 100% sure yet, but I'm going to keep updating my chart and my pictures, which is in the Notion document, and I'll be able to gauge within a little while. But you should always be gauging this stuff. Everything you add in, you should test. Now, I've got the whole chart laid out where you can actually add in all of your routines and the things you're doing. If you're extremely aggressive, you can add multiple things in at once, but if you're not, you want to add certain things in slowly and then be able to see, is that actually making any difference? Next, shampoos, daily care. So, as I said before, DHT shampoos or just cheap shampoos, Nivea, Head and Shoulders, that sort of stuff. Get rid of that sort of stuff straight away. If you're using Head and Shoulders, I mean, you're literally looking for your hair to fall out, if I'm being perfectly honest. You want to keep it as natural as humanly possible. That's simple ingredients to your hair. The less stuff you can put in your scalp that's going to irritate you, the better. You may take Head and Shoulders shampoo and it may feel good in the moment, but what it's actually doing to your scalp is not benefiting you at all. I do this 3 times a week, ketoconazole shampoo, mainly just because of its anti-inflammation properties. Is it going to fix your hair? No. It's improving the scalp. Think of these as improving the scalp. That's what we want to do. We want to improve the scalp as much as possible and give it the best area to grow. Very much like, treat your hair like how you would treat your body in the gym. If you want to go in the gym and you want to lift weights and you want to look good, it's all good going in the gym, but if you're not eating right, you're not eating enough protein, you're not eating enough carbs and fats, and you're eating rubbish and sweets and chocolate, are you going to look good? No. You might put on a little bit of muscle, but you're not going to look healthy, you're not going to look good. And that's how I treat the scalp and secondary options. We're just improving it so the primary options over here have more of a chance to work. Pillows and bedding. This is actually quite an important one no one talks about. I sleep on mulberry silk pillows, and I suggest you do the same. Reason being, when you sleep on silk, your head can freely move along. If you're like me, sometimes I sleep on my face, I'll be honest. I know you shouldn't sleep on your back, but being realistic, sometimes I'm going to sleep on my face. If you sleep on your face and your hair's on the pillow and you're sleeping on a standard pillow, if you move, you're pulling the hair follicles. If you sleep on a silk pillow, the hair can freely move. Plus, it's antimicrobial. It's a lot nicer for you. And just feels a lot better. Like as soon as you get one, you'll realize. So lower friction, lower irritation, less breakage, higher hygiene, fewer scalp flares. Reality check. It's obviously not for regrowth. It's more for comfort and breakage and hygiene, not a treatment. So it's not a treatment, but it's mainly to keep your hair healthy and to stop it from being pulled constantly. One thing to look out for, satin pillows. If you're going online, go on Amazon. I wouldn't recommend buying them off Amazon because most of them are fake. Satin and silk, they look very similar and they are treated very similar, but obviously one's actually from the plant and satin is a petrochemical made of sludge from oil. So made of polyester, it's terrible for you. It's gonna cause you other issues just by sleeping on that anyway. Getting that into your skin is gonna be horrible for you. And I've been tricked at the start. I brought a silk pillow. Turns out it was polyester. So that was me being cheap. Don't be cheap. Buy the more expensive one and make sure it's mulberry silk, not satin sludge. Right. Supplements. Now we get to the interesting stuff because this is where people go wrong and they think, you see online, I get ads all the time. And I'm sure you get ads as well. If you're watching this video, you've definitely got ads for, stuff that's gonna natural DHT blocking supplements or things that are gonna, stuff you should take in terms of supplement wise, that's gonna, heal your hair and grow it back. Most of it is all BS. Right? Don't follow any of that stuff. This is the main stuff that's actually gonna help you. But again, it's not going to fix the root cause. Step 3 fixes the root cause, okay? This stuff is just making sure you're extremely up to date. Best thing to do is to get a blood test. I get periodic blood tests to ensure my vitamins and my biomarkers are all good. Obviously, if you can't afford that right now or you don't have the money, you should save up at least just to get one, just to get a basic baseline of where you are. It's literally costs you like maybe £100, £200, a couple $100 at most. So first thing, fixing real deficiencies. These can cause TE, telogen effluvia, or worsen androgenic alopecia. Iron, ferritin, how to treat low ferritin. Torticollision, many derms aim for 40 to 70 nanograms per milliliter for hair. Taking iron is obviously extremely important. Now, if you don't take an iron supplement, that comes from diet. If you eat enough red meat, you're going to be fine with that. Vitamin D, I personally like to take anywhere from 10 to 20,000 IUs of vitamin D a day. Now, online, people will tell you you're going to die if you take that much, you're going to get poisoned. This is not true. I've done tests, and even at 20,000 IUs, my range is still normal. Okay, maybe it's because I'm just white. Maybe there's other issues, I don't know. But I always aim for the higher amount. It's extremely anabolic as well. It's anabolic. It's almost like a steroid, honestly. You take enough vitamin D, you feel extremely good. Zinc. Again, if you eat enough red meat, I wouldn't even bother supplementing with it. But if you don't eat a lot of red meat, or you're cutting it out because you're trying to lose weight or whatever, you can just supplement with it. 15 to 30 milligrams elemental zinc. Get some good stuff every day. B12. Another quite important one. A lot of people are deficient in B12. Personally, I would do a test and then just get it injected into you. You can buy the injections online. I'm not saying you should do it yourself. Or you can go somewhere and just get a B12 injection and then just boost that level up straight away instead of having to take pills every single day to try and boost it back up. Protein. This really should have been in the diet one, but you got to aim to get enough protein in. If one major cause of telogen effluvia is poor diet. So you may not even have androgenic alopecia. You may be watching this and it may just be your diet is generally that bad. It's causing shock loss in your hair. And I have seen that in actually many cases. So you may be lucky and it may be the main cause. Thyroid. hypothyroidism, that's another one that can cause shock loss. Although iodine can help, it's not usually a good idea just to self-supplement with it. Just in case you do too much, it can cause some some issues. Pumpkin seed oils. Some studies have said potentially DHT related benefits with it, although if you are taking step 3 seriously, you most likely don't need it. Marine protein complexes, I've seen some studies on this. Personally, I don't take it. I don't really think it's necessary, although it can have some benefit. Vitamin E fractions, I don't know how you say that, but personally, I haven't messed around with this. I haven't messed around with sulfur amino as well. That's kind of a markety one recently. I do see that a lot in a lot of products. Personally, I'm not taking it right now, and I wouldn't take it in. I wouldn't say you need it if you're going to actually follow stage 3. Omega-3s, just for general health. Obviously, you want to get that in line. So I always take a fish oil anyway. Things to avoid or keep tight: vitamin A excess shedding, cause excess shedding. Keep total intake between 700 and 900 UGs a day, or IUs even, 3,000 IUs. Avoid chronic high doses of retinols unless prescribed. I'm not sure if using a retinol on your face could actually cause an issue with that, but that's definitely something to look into. Selenium. I have made the mistake of taking too much selenium at one point in time just because I was taking it in capsule form. Now I'll just eat a Brazil nut every day. It's one of my things. I should eat a Brazil nut to get in basically the same amount, so you can save money on expensive selenium supplements. Megadose in vitamin E, biotin megadoses, which is a lot of products have biotin in. I do take biotin, only a tiny amount. Apparently, it can also distort lab results, thyroid, tryptophan. If you take it, obviously stop 48, 72 hours before labs. That's just one major thing. But you should always put that into ChatGPT. Make sure you put your supplements in. Make sure that if you are going to get your lab results done, you're not going to take something that's going to skew results. Obviously, random DHT block and herbal stacks. Just don't even worry about it if you're going to take finasteride or dutasteride. Diet is very simple, man. Like, the core principles of your diet should be you're getting enough protein, you're getting enough carbs, and you're getting enough fats. More fats than you are carbs. That's just my personal opinion. And also, it's just better for health. I think the less carbs you eat, the better you feel, the better you act, and that's your body telling you something. So you want to follow an anti-inflammation diet when it comes to this, mainly because you don't want to cause any flare-ups in your scalp. So inflammation-causing foods are obviously going to be all the bad foods. Fried foods, sodas, refined carbs, lard, processed meats, all that sort of stuff is going to cause inflammation in your body and in turn your scalp, which then could cause shock loss later on down the line. Again, shock loss doesn't appear usually to a period of time after you've initially caused the issue. So sometimes you won't even know the problem or the thing you did months ago could be causing shock loss in the future, or telogen effluvia. So I always just keep my diet super clean, man. Super, super clean. Keep sugar as low as humanly possible. Obviously, we all know, artificial sugars, refined sugars, they are literally poison. They kill you, they ruin your body, and they're going to ruin your hair. That is a fact. When I was balding bad, I was eating a high sugar diet. I was. And I didn't feel good either. I felt horrible. So no liquid sugars, sugary drinks, energy drinks. Use water as 0 calories. That's if you're trying to drink like a Coke or something. But even then, I wouldn't really recommend them. Choose whole food carbs such as rice, potatoes, oats, and fruit. No, not sweets. Not sweets. Pair carbs of protein, fiber to blunt spikes. For example, rice with chicken and veg. That's just, obviously, if you're eating a clean carb, there's not going to be much increase in terms of like your blood spikes. But just to be safe, you should always be eating carbs with protein, just to stop anything like that, because not only does these spikes in your insulin age you, it can damage your hair follicles. So hair relevant nutrients: food first, iron, lean beef or lamb, mussels, sardines, lentils, beans, vitamin C. With vitamin C, foods like peppers and citrus. That's obviously, as I said, you don't need to be supplementing with iron or zinc if you're eating enough, red meat. Zinc, obviously, you've got standard foods there. Vitamin D, salmon, trout, eggs, fortified dairy products, only if labs are low. Personally, I don't eat too much dairy. I mean, I'll do a bit of cheese every now and then, but it's not really something I eat that much. Omega-3s, obviously you know this. Everyone knows this sort of stuff. So, and here's just a little whole food sort of stuff you want to be eating on a day-to-day basis. But the gist of it is, just be extremely healthy. You should be dialed in. If you're not dialed in, then you need to get dialed in. And I'm going to do future videos on how you can actually dial in your diet and not only get lean, but stay lean consistently, and how you can actually improve that, because it is a secondary factor. In fact, I would say it should be up here in the main bit, realistically, in terms of secondary, just below microneedling. Your diet is extremely important for the secondary factor. So that is diet. Now we will go on to the Notion document that I've built around this hair routine. I'm going to give you this, so it's going to be in the description below. So I've made it available, and we're going to go over it right now, as you can see. So hair care dashboard, it has everything you need in here for you to follow along, and you should track everything. You should track, because the thing is with hair, you could be making progress, or you could be losing more hair, but you will not really know. As we saw before in hair care literature, it's usually reported that 50% loss is needed for you to actually see the negative impacts from what you're doing, or from the androgenetic alopecia. So tracking, every week or every couple of weeks, every month, just so you know where you're at, and adding in products and certain things. Obviously, you want to be tracking more just to make sure they're doing something. So first thing, hair care routines. This is just a daily log. If you use Notion, it's going to be great. You just add this in. If you don't use Notion, you've got to get on it. It's amazing for tracking everything from finances just to life, and now even your hair. So this is just a simple chart I've made out. Every day you'll come in here, and all you'll do is come up here, put your date in, you put your core meds. Now if you want to add in more, maybe you're taking the dutasteride or whatever, you can add that in, and then it's going to be there available for you to do. I've just got finasteride or minoxidil, because that's what most people start on. You'll come in, did you take them today? Make sure you're remembering to take them, so you can come in and actually check, oh my god, I missed a day. You don't want to miss a day. Missing days is very bad, and it can regress you a lot. Microneedling, so obviously once a week I'll make sure that I've done that on that day. Low light laser therapy, that's red light, that's what I do. I make sure I tick that box. Every day or every other day, sometimes I miss it, depending on what I'm doing. Shampoo I'm using, ketoconazole, or any other natural shampoo. You can obviously just come in, all you'll do is just put in the one you're using now, and then just copy it over. GHK, that's obviously in conjunction with the microneedling, so I just make sure I just tick that on the same day. Rosemary oil, that's if you're obviously going to use rosemary oil. You can add in your own things, again, like you just change these out, or you want to add in a new place, add a new chart here, just click on and just add it in. So yeah, if you're going to use rosemary oil. Irritation, that's a good important one to measure, so it's like how irritated does your scalp feel on that day. That's how you can gauge you're using your product. Maybe the ketoconazole that day on the GHK, when I applied it, it's irritated my scalp a bit. Now I've noticed that, and I can go back and track that shedding on that day. Obviously, you're not going to be doing a modified hair wash test every single day, but all you'll do is you'll literally just come in here and I would usually gauge just by the shower in the day, in the morning, or in the night, whenever you have a shower. just gauge how much shedding's actually come off today, just roughly, from 1 to 10. And then sleep. Obviously, sleep's important. Just track that as well. Notes. Put your notes down, whether you had a good day or not. In terms of your hair loss, was it good? Was it bad? If it was bad, what's the reason? Go back, have a look. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you had a bad day, it's been a week. You go back and you go, oh my God, maybe it's this thing that's causing it. So very simple. So next thing, this is the thing I'm most proud of, which is the modified hair wash test. You don't have to break it down, analyze it. I've got all the formulas in here that I'll actually be able to track it for you. So you can do this weekly or bi-weekly. Just feel free to change it on the thing. By the way, if you want to duplicate this, when you actually click on the thing, it will be up here somewhere. There'll be like 2 little boxes. Just click duplicate and it will just add it into your Notion, exactly the same as I have it here. So all you'll do here is you will come in and you'll select the day you're doing the test. You will add in how many hairs of each diameter have come out. So as you can see here on this one, they say, obviously it's not actually me, but it's like the baseline. So you do the first test and then you gauge how much improvement it is. Now this uses a formula to obviously tell you the pattern you're in. So mixed indeterminate means you're probably fine. We also have telogen effluvia lightly, which is lightly TE. So that's if you're losing a certain amount of hairs. I'll try and actually make that come up. Actually, it will be, should be. There we go. That's not right. Let's say you're losing. Okay, right. That's obviously too much there, but okay. Telogen effluvia, basically shock loss. So that means like your bigger hair follicles are coming out. So you've got the different patterns here, and it's just has like a formula where you can actually test it out. So you'll come in. Now, if you're in AGA pattern, which means angular alopecia, it obviously means you're losing a considerable amount of these hairs. You're miniaturizing, not good. If you're in the mixed indeterminate range, you're fine for now, okay? So yeah, use this chart bi-weekly or weekly. You don't have to do it every week, obviously, because you're gonna wanna wash your hair. And if you follow the test correctly, you're not meant to wash your hair for about 5 days. But yeah, do it every other week. You can change this monthly if you want, but that's just a nice little chart you can see. And then you can go back and now you can gauge your daily log. And you can say, well, I've added in this, and I feel this way, and this has caused this. Do you know what I mean? So back in here as well, I would maybe add one in for your actual diet as well, just so you can see how good was my diet that week, because that can cause, potential shock loss. And then you can start gauging, well, because telogen effluvia can be caused, from prior months. Maybe you ate loads of sugar a couple of weeks ago. That can cause TE. That can cause TE to appear. So then you can go back and you say, oh my God, that may have been the reason why when I did my modified hair wash test, it looked that bad. Progress photos. So this is, I would say, arguably the most important part, because you need to know whether you're making progress or not. You've got your baseline here. I've set different lightings just so you can keep the lighting standardized. I would always take the picture in the same light. If you did it in the bathroom, take it in the bathroom next time. Don't change it around, because you can get different results and it can skew your perception a little bit. Maybe you're actually losing more hair and you just took it in better lighting. You can obviously set your camera settings here. You don't have to do that exactly, but just put down the phone you're using. If you're using an iPhone, use an iPhone, just put it in. Obviously baseline, so take this now or whenever you are ready to set it, and then all you do is you just put in the photo. As you can see, put the photo in there, you'll just add in a file, boom, there you go, and then you can go back through and periodically, say every month, take new photos, come back to your baseline, month 1, month 2, month 3, month 4, then you can see. So you have to be doing that. It's just good to have it all sectioned out and plain as you're not scrolling through your phone. Products and protocols. This is obviously where you're going to put in the stuff that you're actually taking. Obviously extremely important. Put in what you're currently on in this area and when you're meant to take it. So your core meds, your dosage, you've got your schedule, you've got your start date. That's very important. So when you started the protocol, make sure you add that in. I would also add that in the daily tracker that you've started that in the notes section on that day. So you can go back just in that folder as well. Whether it's active or whether you've ended the process. Let's say you've ended that one. So you just come through and you just say, just stop. Yeah, so if you stopped it or it's active, the end date, obviously you're not going to want to be stopping these ones. These are the main ones. Don't be putting no stop there on that. Side effects, reported side effects. As I say, some people get side effects. I believe they're more scary because, but they're more. The reason you see it a lot, basically, is because when you go online, the people who had the worst reaction are usually the loudest, but they don't usually show you the reaction of all the other people who have been successful with it. So yeah, some people may take finasteride and you can get reported side effects from it. Sexual dysfunctions is a big one, but realistically, I do generally believe most of the people who get these side effects from that sort of stuff were extremely scared of getting side effects and have basically manipulated their mind into getting side effects. That's actually what I think. And it's usually the case. You can fearmonger yourself into having a reaction. Prescriber source, obviously, you don't have to put that in if you don't want to, but it's just nice to know whether you're getting it from a dermatologist or the place you're getting it from. Maybe you're changing provider of dutasteride and minoxidil. I don't think there's really much difference whether you're getting generic or you're getting it from the owner of the patent, but you can put that in if you want. But yeah, always have your products there, whether you've started it or whether you've stopped it, the times you've started and when you have stopped. This is the final one. This is just where you're going to put in, you can put information on the products in here as well. You should be doing it obviously weekly. If you're microneedling, come in, say you've done it for the week, put your depth in here. You can put more information in these notes, obviously, about it and what you're doing if you're adding products in. You can also start to put in how you're feeling about the product itself. Just put it in the notes, and then obviously you just copy these and just repaste them for another week. So yeah, very simple on that. As I say, you don't have to use that one. So yeah, very simple on that one. But yeah, that's basically it. As I say, you don't have to use all of them, but you should be definitely following, hair routine daily, your progress photos, and your weekly testing. Just keep that up to date, just so you know. A bare minimum, you should be taking photos, a bare minimum, and tracking. But yeah, that's in the comments in the description below. So, you go duplicate that now, add that in, definitely follow along. Stage 7. So we're approaching the end now. This is the main facting stage, is consistency and patience. You have to stay consistent. Okay, you have to stay consistent. People give up way too soon, like I have in the past, and it really ruined me when I did minoxidil topically. And I did it for maybe a couple months, and then you fall off, or you go to bed too late, and you forget to take it. It's not good. It's not good. When you do that, it really ruins your hair. You have to be realistic with how long it's going to take for you to actually see effects. I would honestly say dutasteride, minoxidil, or finasteride, you have to give it at least a year to be able to see results. You have to add in all the secondary factors. Give yourself the highest probability chance you can of success by waiting as long as you can before you see anything. So yeah, then obviously this is like, if you're someone who maybe you've got to the end of this video and you're still disheartened because you've lost a lot of hair transplants. Now, I've not had a hair transplant yet. Do I plan on getting one in the future? Yes, if needed. But I'm going to do everything I can to push that back as far as humanly possible. Reason being is you obviously only have a finite amount of grafts in your hair. The average man has between, I believe it's about 6,000 to 7,000 grafts across your lifetime. Many people don't realize that, and they think that you actually get unlimited grafts, and you actually don't. And your hair can become, especially the back of your head, can become very wrecked, especially if you go into bad surgeons, which is the main thing we're going to talk about here. So we're going to do a little bit on this. It's not really to do with keeping your hair, but if you are someone who is bald, this is just the sort of stuff that I would follow and the way I would look at it. So hair transplants, guiding when needed. Purpose: restore coverage when loss is advanced or strategically frame the face. Meds keep what you still have. What you still have. When to consider. Norwood 2+. So if you have like advanced recession, you've followed all the protocol for over a year, you've not seen much growth. Maybe you're like this guy over here, where you've pushed it back, you've not seen any growth, and you think, I need a hair transplant. Obviously, you don't want to end up like this guy, do you? And I know what's happened here. It's very obvious what's happened here. He's gone to a terrible surgeon who's lied to him. So pre-op. Actually, first, making sure obviously you're on medication. I've seen plenty of guys, and I even met this guy once. I won't say his name, but he had a hair transplant in Turkey, which is typical. And he didn't even know what finasteride or dutasteride was. He didn't even know. And I was like, oh, you taking anything? And he was like, nah, man, like, what do you mean? Like, I was like, oh, like finasteride. He's like, what's that? It's like if you're going to a surgeon and they're not telling you that you need to take finasteride to keep the hair follicles healthy and to stop more progression. Because the thing is with people is, right, there is a fact that the hair you bring from the back of your head is less susceptible to angular alopecia. But what happens is this, and it was happening to him. I didn't say it because I don't want to be rude, but he was experiencing this, where they had transplanted the hairs from the back of his head, which now are technically, a bit more immune to angular alopecia, but it doesn't stop your hair, which you didn't transplant, from recessing even more. So then what's going to happen is, because they lied to you, and they can't make money off you anymore. They're not going to be selling you the finasteride or the dutasteride. So usually they say you don't need it. Oh, you don't need it with our hair transplants because they're better or something. Okay, buddy. You end up like this, where he's obviously not taking any dutasteride or finasteride. His hairline's been pushed back even further, to the point now where he's got this gap. It's going to cost him a fortune, if even possible, to fix this. So yeah, make sure you don't fall for that sort of trap. Pre-op optimization, as I said this before, this is extremely important. It's the most important factor. You have to make sure your scalp is ready. If your scalp is not ready, just don't do it. Don't do it. If you've not taken the year or years to get your scalp in the best possible position you possibly can, why are you thinking of a hair transplant? It's not the be all and end all. It's not the fixer that you think it's going to be. Okay? You're going to end up with something like this, most likely. If you don't get this sort of stuff aligned, if you're not keeping on your diet, if you're not doing everything I've talked about prior to this, every single thing, if you're not following along, getting your scalp in the maximum position it possibly can be before you get something like a hair transplant is extremely important, because not only, one of the reasons I want to push it back as far as possible is the shock loss. People don't talk about this, and it's a big thing with, we'll get into it in a bit, but worse transplant clinics who offer, insane amounts of transplanted hairs, up to 5,000 grafts I've seen people do. I think this guy here actually was reported to get like 4,000 grafts, which is just way too much. Like, there's a reason that they don't, in the UK or the US or in any first world country, they don't do insane amounts of grafts for that exact reason. But online in Turkey, they're like, oh, well, we'll do you a massive discount if you get loads of grafts. But they're not taking into account your potential shock loss and the extreme amount of damage you're going to do to your scalp because obviously you're going to go through a lot of trauma when you get a hair transplant. Does this look like something that's not caused trauma? There's a reason your head swells up massively. So donor strategy. So protecting the safe donor zone. Avoid removing more than 20 to 30% of any micro area. Prioritize hairline and mid-scalp. Consider S&P for optimal density. S&P is obviously when you get tattooing. Now, obviously, it's going to depend on how you wear your hair. Can it be good just to add in a little bit? Yeah. But you want to make sure you get it done from a professional. I'm not going to be getting done anytime soon, but I potentially looked into it in the future. We get to that age. Micro FUE, so this is obviously going to be smaller hair transplants. This is what I recommend, and this is what my strategy is going to be. Personally, I've already laid it out, how I'm going to keep my hair up until I die, and I'm in my coffin, I'm going to have hair. For this exact reason, it's the same reason why celebrities have hair when they're 80 years old, is they've had a very good, very experienced, very expensive surgeon plan out their hair for their entire life and give them the blueprint. And it's micro hair transplants that keep your hair full. So no matter how much treatment you do, you can be on the finasteride, the dutasteride, the minoxidil, all the secondary, eventually it's going to start slipping and you are going to need some top up. Realistically, it's just a fact. There is a downturn. Eventually, you're going to lose a little bit and you might need a top up of a couple hundred hair follicles. The right way to do it is, as I say here, 400 to 1200 grafts max, periodically throughout your life. Remember, you only got potentially 6,000 to 7,000. So it's very important to not do too much. And obviously, if you do need more, you can go up to 3,000. I wouldn't go any more. You have to be careful. Like, if you do too much and you cause mass shock loss, all of them hair follicles are going to die out. And then you're in a very bad position because now you've halved yourself and you're going to make it very hard to keep your hair. And that happens to a lot of people when you see them, they get a hair transplant and then, a couple of years later, they've got no hair. They didn't plan it out right. You have to plan. You have to be strategic. It's like chess, keeping your hair. Clinic standards, surgeon leg design and incisions, limited cases per day. No hair mills. This is why I absolutely say do not go to Turkey. I'm not going to say you're going to end up like this guy who died, but it is a possibility. You get a cheap procedure done. You get it done by not the surgeon. When you think you're getting it done by the surgeon, but then you show up and it's just some woman who's like some nurse. Do you know what I mean? She's just been doing it, stepping in. Oh, just stepping in today. You're not even a surgeon, but you're just doing my hair transplant. That's not good. You don't want to be dealing with that, and then that's how you end up dying, realistically. And that's how this guy, unfortunately, God bless his soul, passed away. So yeah, no hair mills. If they're doing insane amounts of treatment, how are they going to be treating you right? If they're just getting you in and out, this is how you end up with coverage like this, where his hair is now, this is going to look terrible if it works out. You can just see the density, or where they've just completely rushed this, and it's a weird design. They've not given him enough grafts. It's going to look extremely patchy, most likely terrible, and he'll end up like something like this. So that's when you go to someone who's Russian. Pay the extra money. If you don't have the money, save up the money. What's the need for Russian? What's the actual need? Don't rush. That's what I would say. Save up the money, go to someone in a first world country, someone who is, going to be doing you for the day, and not, got to check my watch, mate, let's get this done quickly. All right, you take over, I'm going to go do the next one. You don't want to be dealing with that. Clinic standards are extremely important. Obviously, verifiable results. A lot of these Turkish clinics, I get the ads all the time. I'm sure you get the ads. It's very like appetizing because you see and they show you the person with the best results, the utmost results. And Turkey does have some good hair surgeons. Don't get me wrong. They can't not have good hair surgeons. They've been doing it for so long. There's just so many out there that are bad and that will scam you and that you will have a horrible time with. And you want the truth from that, just go on Reddit and you'll find out. People go to Turkey, they fly there and their hair looks terrible. So there's still loads of, red flags there. Sales rep planning, I've seen this before, they wouldn't give over the surgeon's name. That's always a red flag. Like, why are you not telling me who's doing my hair transplant? Bargain, mega sessions, guarantees, or per graph, price wars. If you're getting extreme discounts and they're offering you to do you 5,000 graphs, and they're like, oh, we'll do it for a couple grand, maybe 3,000-4,000, whereas that would cost you, 15,000-20,000 in first world country. Use your brain. Just use your brain when it comes to that. Strategy like a pro. Obviously, this is exactly what I'm going through, and I'm thinking I'm strategizing like a pro. I'm thinking like the celebrity surgeon would be thinking for their client. I'm planning out years in the future. It may sound quite obsessive to most, but if you want to keep your hair, you have to. So think lifetime, not one-off. Stabilize on meds before you cut. First front, conservative, age-appropriate hairline. This is a big thing. You go to someone who is not that good at doing it, they're not going to give you the age-appropriate hairline. If you have a hair transplant and you've already aged and you've already aged a significant amount, and say you're in your 40s or 50s, and you add in a 20-year-old hairline, it's going to look stupid, realistically. You have to look slightly matured, because otherwise you end up looking a bit weird. You look like you've got kids' hair and you're old. So obviously you want to focus around the front stage of your hairline, because it's the most important. It's part of people see. This is why you could do S&P on the crown, or you don't want to put too much hair follicles. That's why I always say you want to keep the crown as healthy as possible and try and retain as much density there. That's why I was stressing when I was losing it, because I realized that hair doesn't seem to stick as well there as it does in the front. That's just a fact. And obviously you're going to be wasting it on a part that most people are not going to see most of the time. So prioritize the front. Optical stacking is obviously just making sure that you're putting in the right areas. If you go to a trained professional, they're going to do that. But that's pretty much it on hair transplants. Maybe I'll do another video on it. Obviously I don't know too much, just because I'm not at that stage. I've looked into it enough to know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to go to Turkey. I'm going to make sure I've got enough money to go to a first world country and not mess around with somewhere where I might die, and get proper hair, do you know what I mean, by a real surgeon. Go to Hollywood, get it done by the pros. There's a reason that your favorite actors have amazing hair. They're going to the best people. And if you want amazing hair, you've got to go to the best people. That's just a fact. So that's it. That is literally all you need to know. You now know more than most people will ever know. If you enjoyed this video, like it. Drop me a comment below. If you use the Notion template, let me know in the comments below. Obviously, keep track of your results. But let me know what stage you're on. If you ever need any help, just drop a comment. I'll answer any questions you have. But that's pretty much it. If you follow this and you do it right, you go through all the stages, you keep your diet right, you use the right meds, you use the right secondary options, use the right supplements, you track, test, periodically plan. You're like a sniper. You'll have no issue, and you can bring it back from the dead. If you're really far gone, you can bring it back. It is possible. Don't think it's not. Don't be disheartened. You have to believe in yourself. That's the main thing in life. You have to believe. If you don't believe in yourself and you don't think it's possible, then it's not possible. That's the reality of the world. So thank you guys.